Are you guys all decorated for Halloween? If not, and you need a couple ideas, I'm going to share with you some of the ones that I found. Welcome back, guys. Shane here, Fugatech 3D Printing, and as I said, today we're going to check out some models that I found on Thingiverse that I think would be pretty cool for you to print out for Halloween. Now, most of these models were pretty easy to print. Some of them a little longer than others simply because I blew them up so big, but some of the small ones were very quick and not too bad to print at all. So we're going to start from the smallest print and work our way up. So first we're going to start out here with these little pumpkins, and they stack together very easily. Just the top of them screws in or twists into the bottom of another pumpkin, and there's actually also a base that comes with the files that you can print out, and then you can stick these on there and stack the whole rack of them. There are 9 different faces that come in this segment, or in this assortment of pumpkin faces, which is really cool. So I printed out, I think it was 30 of these at once, 30 or 40 of them at once on the Fugatech FT5, which was great because it knocked a whole bunch out really quickly. It took about 10 hours. And my daughter took a bunch of them into school, so you go out to her friends, and then I'll end up giving these away for trick-or-treating when the time arrives. Next, I want to show off here are these little bats, and these bats have a hole that runs through them, and their eyes run over that hole. These are actually for a glow stick. So you would take the little kid glow sticks, they're like $1, like Michael's, and they sell them in big packs for like $2. You can get like 70 some of them. But those are really great to give out kids on Halloween. And if you wanted to, you can make these little charms. Now this set has, I believe, ghosts, skulls, and these bats. I only made the bats so far. And as I said, just put the glow stick through, and whatever color the glow stick is, it glows through the eyes. So I thought that was a pretty neat little print. All right, next up I have this creepy tree stump, who is an awesome print. This is a very, very cool design, but he's a little hard to print in my opinion. It could have just been some of the filament I was using. I was getting a little bit under extrusion, and I was getting stringing up here in the back top of the stump, which you could really tell here on the large version. Also, this model, when you import it, it's going to ask you, well, when you import it in Simplify 3D, it's going to ask you, do you want to scale it? You want to say yes. That way, because the one scale of it, it's like 1mm by 1mm. It's tiny. So to get it to even this size right here, this is 2,500% of scale. This model here is 4,000% of scale. Wasn't a full size on the CR10 or FT5, but I thought it was big enough. This took 25 hours to print. A lot longer. I did a low infill of, I believe, 8% on this guy, but it still took quite a long time. I got a great finish on it. It's no support required, but you do have a little bit of stringing here on the bottom of the fingers, which is very easy to snip that off and clean it up. I have seen some people also paint inside the eyes and the mouth to make them black, make them look cooler. I also printed this in this was enabled green for this one, and this one was Proto Paradigms brown, which is a great filament. I also forgot to mention, this was printed in Hatchbox orange, which I love, and this black was printed in Fugatech black. All right, next up I have this very simple RIP Tombstone. There's 3 different models. One's RIP, one has the cross, and one has a skull here. It prints flat like so, and on PEI it is a mirror finish, if you can see that there. So no support required, prints just like this. This took about 9 hours to print, and this was pretty large of scale. I can't remember, this might have been 300% of scale. Not the largest I could have printed on either of my printers, but it was big enough, I thought, to kind of sit on maybe like our dresser, or not dresser, but one of the buffets or something upstairs in our dining room or living room, something like that, to just add a little bit of extra. It's super lightweight. This was 10% infill with 5 top layers. When I did that so that I could do less infill. You need more top layers. So if you're going to do like a 20-30% infill, honestly 2 to 3 layers, top layers out of 0.2mm layer height is more than enough. But this one I did 5 simply because I had such a low infill in order to make this print much faster. And next up here I have this skeleton guy. This was an awesome print. I really liked it, but it took me quite a few tries to print some of his parts. Some of them are, this is totally not finished at all. I literally took this off the build plate, cleaned it up a little bit, and then put him together. So he's got all fingers, he comes in all kinds of parts, and I printed this on probably my lowest quality printer, which is the Fugatech 2020 i3. I don't have that 1000% dialed in yet, but it's close. But when you print this, you have to use support, and I highly recommend that you use a raft just to be sure that these actually will stay. I did have some lifting and a couple parts move simply because there's a tiny dot and then it goes and does some support, and then a tiny dot and does some more support just because it's barely touching the build plate. It would almost behoove you to move this up a 0.2 millimeter layer height and then make it all print on support, just so you can avoid that issue. But yeah, he's a really cool print. I can't remember all the different parts that he requires. It's quite a bit. I mean, all of the ribs here are an individual part. His pelvis, the shoulders, the arms are several parts. The fingers are 2 parts apiece, and the hand alone. The head is 2 parts, and the eyes, you don't have to use the eyes. I thought they were kind of cool. My wife said change the color, so I might take them out, print them in red or something like that, give them red eyes. Look kind of creepy. But this was 100% set of scale, and compared, he's about the size of my forearm there. And she was saying for next year that I need to print this as big as I can to hang up in our house. So I think next year, if I don't find a better model, I will reprint this and actually clean it up, do a bunch of sanding, because I figure each of the arms will probably be a good 12 to 14 inches long. More on my printer, I could probably do like 8 to 10 inches long, which would be pretty cool. But I really like this model. The kids think it's pretty funny, but it is, again, a lot of parts, and be patient with this print. All right, finally for the stuff I found on Thingiverse is this skull. And this is a Victorian or Vrillian style skull, the way that it's designed. I thought it was just so cool because it's see-through. I debated on printing just a regular human skull, but that would seem a little bit too much, and this would be a good test on my FT5. There was a little bit of stringing in there, or just a bit of drooping, simply because your cooling has to be like on point. I'm not 100% happy with the cooling that I have on the FT5 with the Franken shuttle right now, but overall it did a great job. Underneath, a little bit rough, but you're not going to see any of that, so that didn't matter. There's a lot of built-in support in here, and there were parts in here that actually had failed. But luckily, all the failed parts are actually support, and you'll be seeing all this now on the screen. So that wasn't too bad at all, and I wasn't worried about. Oh, actually, I have 2 more pieces of support in the skull, and they're actually in there, and you need to press them out with needle nose or try to get your finger up in there. But there's a lot of the support that they have built in, so you don't need to use any of your own, no matter what slicer you're using. Just be sure, again, for this print, your cooling really needs to be on point for this. All right, so the last 2 parts I have are seemingly simple. This one was found on Thingiverse, and this is just a drawer knob, and I'll show you what I need that for. And then I have this wing key. So this is, you put it into something, you turn it like that to spin something up, like an old wind-up toy, something like that. I had already found one of these on Thingiverse, and I'm actually painting it right now to see how it turns out, but I didn't like it because it was just not very organic. It was very low poly, and I didn't like the way that that looked. So I pulled up Fusion 360, modeled this one in about 10-15 minutes, printed it out. 4 hours later, here it was. Not too bad at all. I like it just because it's how rounded edges. I don't want anybody getting scratched off of it, or if she drops it or falls on it, don't want it to hurt her or anyone else around, and it just looks a little bit better. What I also added in here was a 4mm hole that I can put a dial or a screw through, and you could put this into something, and then you put the bolt through with a nut, and then it would be able to turn freely. Now, what do I need these for? I'll show you. I need it for this box. Now, my daughter decided that she wanted to be a ballerina in like the little jewelry boxes. You flip it open, you turn a knob, and the ballerina spins and it plays music. And it had to have a drawer. So I grabbed I think this is toilet paper. Yeah, toilet paper box that it came in the mail. Went ahead, cut it out. I put a little drawer in here that actually opens and closes for her. And that is what the knob is for. And that will end up going right there to give a little bit of design. And then here on the back, I will cut a hole right in the middle, and I will put the turn key in there, and then she'll be able to freely turn it, or someone else can go up and turn it like they're spinning her up. Her big idea behind this one was Lindsay Sterling in her Shatter Me video. I don't know if you guys watch Lindsay Sterling. My kids like her, I've liked her for a long time, and she thought that would be really cool. So I'm also printing her out a violin, which right after I finish filming this, I'm going to get printing on that, because that's going to take me about 50 hours. And I will link the violin that I'm going to be printing down below. I might share that in a future video, but for now, I'll leave you with the links for that. Credit to everyone that designed these. The only thing I designed was this. Everyone else out there who designs these things, you guys are amazingly talented. I am learning Fusion 360. I'm getting better at it, but it is a long, long road that I have to fight an uphill battle on. So I appreciate you guys that model these. I will put links down below for all of these. So if you guys want to print these out, you have plenty of time before Halloween. So get those printers warmed up. All right, guys, that's going to do it for my little Halloween special here. I appreciate you guys watching. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down, leave me a comment down below what I can do better next time. If you want to support me, best way to do that, subscribe down below. That way I know you guys like this video and you want to see more like it. You want to support me financially, right down here is going to be a link to Patreon. Donate me $1 more. Greatly appreciate current Patreons. You guys are awesome as always. A lot of the Patreon funds actually go into me buying filament so I can do videos like this, because this is not sponsored by anyone. None of this filament was sent to me. It's all that I bought on my own. If you guys support me without spending some money, down below you see a bunch of affiliate links. Go ahead and use those. Do your daily shopping. I greatly appreciate it. And thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, happy printing.